to the only information you need to know. I'm totally kidding. Please question everything, take everything with a grain of salt, and understand that there are an infinite number of timelines currently playing out, and it's really good to get information from all angles. And it's also really good to tune in to your own intuition because ultimately, no matter what's happening around us, we are the only ones who truly know what's going on, but you gotta tune in and you have to listen. So today, I'm going to give you all the details that I picked up on from my remote viewing session, which I did just about 30 minutes ago regarding the California wildfires. And there's a lot going on. So I actually had to divide all the information up into three different parts. So I'll sort of better explain that in a second. But before we get there, I actually wanted to talk about a couple of the 2025 predictions that have already come into fruition. Yes, that's right. We are 13 days into the new year, and I have three massive predictions that have already taken place. Now, the reason why I want to mention these is maybe just to validate a little bit of my remote viewing abilities, but then to also sort of emphasize the fact that 2025 is going to be a year unlike anything we've ever seen before. If you are already sick and tired of 2025, we are just gearing up because shit is going to hit the fan in some of the biggest ways we've ever seen before. I mean, I'm talking beyond 2020. So please prepare, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. If you want more insider information, stuff that I am not allowed to talk about on social media platforms, you want to head over to my website, elizabethapril.com. Recently, I had a white hat remote view, which literally some of the craziest information and probably one of the most important videos I've ever done in my life. And we had so many people watching that video that it actually crashed the site. So please go check that out. That's about happened a week ago. And then just this past weekend, we had the Galactic Federation Summit, and shit got so crazy during that summit. I'm still trying to figure out what the information was. Like, I was confused, and yet it was so profound. So if you're interested in quantum mechanics, in timeline shifting, and 3D to 5D, and how that's all going to play out for each one of us, you do not want to miss Season 2025, Episode 1 of the Galactic Federation Summit. And we have our Season 2025 Galactic Federation bundle. So if you want remote viewing updates, especially from our galactic comrades, then you want to check out the bundle and stay in tune every single month for a deep dive, stuff that I just can't say publicly. All right, cool. So a couple of the predictions. Big earthquake and potential tsunami off of the Asian coast. I mean, it literally happened just a couple of days ago, 3 days ago that happened. Luckily, the tsunami warning has been lifted and it looks like it wasn't super devastating, but that's something that I picked up on and it's already taken place. Let's go ahead and hope that that's the only big earthquake that we're going to receive in 2025. The other thing that I picked up on in my remote viewing and predictions for 2025 was a significant plane crash. I had no idea that that month in December, we had 7 very significant plane crashes, and 2 of the most significant ones happened actually after that video, one in Australia and one in South Korea. My heart goes out to all of the people, civilians, individuals involved in those. And then what's really interesting is I was picking up on a heat wave and I couldn't figure it out. It seemed like it was abnormal weather patterns, specifically this heat wave. And specifically, I saw it happening in winter. And I even mentioned, wow, that could be actually soon because we were talking about that in December for 2025. I now believe I was probably picking up on the fires, and if I probed a little bit deeper, I probably would have seen the heat coming from the fire as a source. So I just thought that was really fascinating. And we did get a huge heat wave in Australia just this month as well, but I think it was more the fires. Okay, so the reason why I had to break down the remote viewing on the California fires is because there are levels and layers to the information. So I couldn't just give you one level of information, it would be doing an injustice to the rest of the information. So I had to go 3D, 4D, and 5D, and this will make sense as I get into the information. So at a 3D level, at a physical reality level, the majority of the people out there are like, yep, so we had, strange high winds, and then there was a fire that was started, and then the winds sort of spread the fire, and that's what happened. So most mainstream people who have not sort of broken through the matrix or questioned things, they just believe what they are being told, and they think that it's a naturally occurring thing. And yes, fires, wildfires, and winds are totally naturally occurring, but there are so many things happening that at a 3D level that are so entirely suspicious. And we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what I saw remote viewing. You can go and check out all of the alternative news resources to see all of the suspicious things taking place. So at a 3D level, hey, it was weird, naturally occurring. A lot of people believe that. At a fourth dimension level, so think about sort of questioning things, breaking through the layer, breaking through the matrix, and going into the agendas and conspiracies. That's the fourth dimensional level. Here's what I picked up on. It was so clearly a joint, and I'm just reading from my notes here. It was so clearly a joint effort by big organizations and the shadow government. So I picked up on specifically, there's like, I want to say 3 or 4 big organizations that were orchestrating this. This was an orchestration, and this was not the first time they came together to orchestrate something. And then behind the big organizations is the shadow government, the elites, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, okay? It's the government beyond our governments. And then I had to ask why, so this is an orchestrated event. I got that very clearly, but why were they orchestrating it? And then at a 4D level, the information came through to devalue the land so that they can take ownership. That was sort of the first hit that I got as to why they were doing this. And there are a couple of reasons that I picked up on. But the first one was to devalue the land so that they can take ownership. So, maybe people are like, I'm done with California. I'm done with Los Angeles. My house is burnt down. I'm going to go ahead and sell the land for cheap or whatever. It seems like these organizations, and they could maybe hide their involvement. I don't know how they're going to hide their involvement in taking ownership or buying the land for very cheap. But that came through very clearly. And then I had to ask the question, why? Why do they want to take ownership over the land of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas? And this is really bizarre, and I wasn't able to dig any deeper than this. So control was a really big thing. So control and like testing and experimentation. It feels like they want the Los Angeles County or the surrounding area for testing and experimentation. And I don't know if this is like psychological testing. I don't know if this is like chemical testing. I don't know what kind of testing, but it seemed like control and like testing / experimentation. We know that they've done this before, but that was a big part of it. So then I had to ask, how were these fires started? Now, in the past, with the California Paradise fires and the Maui fires, it was very clearly sort of technology that started these fires. Direct energy weapons. Like that's what I saw essentially. This was a little bit different, which was fascinating. I saw that these fires were physically started by people that were paid, okay? And the reason why they chose to physically start these fires and pay the people, and this is really bizarre, so like I said, take it or leave it, is because we're on to them. We're questioning things. There are cameras everywhere. And in the past, their direct energy weapons were noticed. And they just couldn't get away from that. And so they had to manually or physically start them in order to avoid the conspiracy. To be honest, that's what I picked up on, like I said. Then I saw with these people, I saw this whole sort of train of events. So these are paid individuals. They were immediately paid off to leave the country. Their identities are completely unknown and hidden, and they were given trackers. Like, I'm literally talking, I saw them getting implanted with tracking chips so that the powers that be or the elite or these organizations know where they are at all times. That being said, I also saw a possibility that one of these individuals may actually come out as a whistleblower later down the line. And yes, as a whistleblower, they will be risking their life, right? And most likely, all of the individuals involved will be killed off immediately. If there is a whistleblower involved. But I did see that one of these individuals basically blows the lid, potentially. And we could see that this year. We could see that in a couple of years from now. Hopefully, the sooner the better, right? Okay. And then I saw that, of course, the fires that were started were expanded upon by these winds, but the winds looked simulated. Those did not look like natural winds, okay? And then I saw that the winds were stimulated by a weather device, so call it like HARP or whatever. And I even asked the question, like, is that possible? Is it possible for them to create winds and air? And absolutely, without a doubt, they can stimulate or manipulate the electromagnetic fields which stimulate and manipulate air, which is really wild. But then we look at Hurricane Milton. What was that all about? That was not natural. We talked about that. We actually meditated around that. Once again, guys, this is just what I see. All right. So let's go into a higher perspective here. This isn't necessarily 5D, but this is another angle of what they're doing. And this is really important because this specifically plays into the Maui fires. And then the Paradise fires were still like created, but it wasn't the same intention. It is very clear that right now, the shadow government, the elites, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, they are attempting to take control back over the planet by manipulating portals. And I know this sounds totally woo-woo, but portals and ley lines are a scientifically proven thing, okay? When ley lines on the planet, energy currents essentially on the planet intersect, it creates a portal or a vortex. This is something that we can actually measure. And what's happening is portals and vortexes can be at a certain frequency. And there are massive portals and vortexes that have been shut down, such as in Peru, Machu Picchu, that's been shut down and sort of inactive for a long time. These portals and vortexes, and I have many videos on them. This is where like UFOs and extraterrestrials are able to essentially travel. They're able to travel in and out, and other things are also able to travel in and out of these portals depending on the frequency or vibration of them. For example, CERN and the Large Hadron Collider, what are they doing? They are creating sort of portals and vortexes at a quantum level. That's a whole other story. So what happened was, okay, they are attempting to take their power back over certain portals in order to lower the vibration of the planet altogether, create fear. Fear creates control, and it doesn't allow us to think for ourselves. One of the biggest portals on the planet, guess what? It's the Hollywood portal. They're utilizing the energy of the Hollywood portal to amass their global propaganda. They've been doing this for quite some time. That's why it's called Hollywood, right? It's magic, it's spell casting, and they're utilizing the energy of the portal in Hollywood. Back in 2020, guess what I did with thousands of others? We all protested down the Walk of Fame, and we were able to transmute a lot of the Hollywood portal energy into a higher frequency. And since then, they have been losing their grip on Hollywood. I mean, look at the Epstein, Weinstein, you name it, shit's going down. Diddy, right? Like things are finally being exposed because they do not have the manipulation, the propaganda, the control that they had anymore. They're trying to take that control back. Take a look at what happened with the Pope during Christmas Eve. What was he doing? He was opening doorways. He was opening portals in the Vatican. Why were they doing that? To once again take their power back over these portals, okay? What happened in Maui is the exact same thing. In Maui, in Hawaii, there is like, think of it as like the heart chakra of the planet, okay? It is this incredibly high vibrational portal. What were they doing? They created fire, they created devastation, so that everyone around the planet sent their fear and their insecurity and their pain and their mourning to Maui to feed the portal. And once again, I know it sounds woo-woo, but this is we are in an energetic battle. We are literally in the middle of World War III at an energetic level and have been for quite some time. So they are once again attempting right now at this time at an energetic level to take over the energy portals of the planet. So yeah, they're trying to take over at a physical level and they're trying to take over at an energetic level. We have to be aware of the truth behind all of this. Okay. All right. So, couple of other things. Let's talk about the fifth dimensional level. All right. This is like the highest perspective that we can look at, and this is hopefully going to shift your energy around it. So when I was taking a look at, okay, globally, collectively, what are our collective contracts around the fires in California? And it looked like a purging or a clearing of LA, okay? I mean, the city of Los Angeles, we know that there's been some dark shit and obviously all the trafficking and all of the just icky epicenter of America. It really is. And at an higher vibrational perspective, what came through was there's a clearing, there's a purging, and that is not to discount or discredit the loss and the pain and the loss of life that has taken place there. And when something breaks down, there's always a breakthrough. When something dies, there is always a rebirth. And that is what's taking place. And that is what the shadow government is not necessarily accounting for, is the fact that we are going to be able to transmute that area more so than ever before. It's actually the opposite of what they want to happen at an energetic level is going to happen, okay? And then also the other thing that's taking place is it's prompting people to wake up. Please, and I'm getting full body chills when I say this, keep in mind that there is a ton of shit about to go down in 2025. There already has been, but it's just going to be more and more and more. And a lot of false flag events, a lot of attacks, a lot of weather anomalies, a lot of agendas that are taking place. Every single time they try and lower our frequency, control and depopulate us, it is only prompting us to rise against, to question everything, and to elevate our sense of consciousness. No longer can the average everyday person assume that the government's going to take care of them. It is time to think for ourselves, and these types of very suspicious events are prompting the average everyday person to question the reality of this matrix. I mean, that's what it comes down to, okay? So please keep that in mind as the highest possible perspective. All right. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a lot of whistleblowers, not just this year, but in the later years coming. For all of the shit that's currently happening, we are going to have a glorious amount of Netflix documentaries on the truth. And yeah, it may take a decade, but the truth will prevail and it will come out. And at that point in time, most people are going to know the truth. I mean, I don't know what the average everyday person thinks about the 9/11 attacks, but I've said it since day one. That is not right. And that is actually an attack by our own government to prompt a war. And this is, I mean, they're using the same tactics, just in different ways. Okay. So before I get into the most important part about all of this, I want to remind you guys, all right? Coming up this Wednesday, I've got a new Kate Middleton video. And if you're like, wow, why would you release a video on Kate Middleton? Some really crazy shit happened in 2023 and 2024 with the royal family member Kate Middleton. It beyond just what's been going on recently, it was the most insane. If you've ever questioned anything about clones or cloning and you're curious about what if that's even a reality, go to my website and check out the Kate Middleton video series. The one that's getting released on Wednesday is part 9. You really want to start from part 1 because it's wild. And then the only other thing I want to mention is if you are interested, if you feel stuck in life, if you feel like you're replaying the same lessons over again, if you feel like you're emotional or stuck in reaction, then you want to check out my Shift Masterclass. It is my only masterclass, and it is the thing that I've developed over a year to help you go from literally the 3rd dimension frequency into the 5th dimension to live the best possible life. So please go check that out if you haven't already. New year, new you, and it's time to really focus on ourselves, not the shit that's going on in the world. And then, of course, like, share, and subscribe. I'm not quite done yet, but give this video a thumbs up and share it with other people who you think are also questioning and open-minded. Please keep in mind, okay, they are rolling out agendas so quickly that we don't have the time or the chance to protest and raise awareness. This is going to be their tactic for 2025. One thing after another thing. We've got mystery fog. We've got chemtrails galore. We've got UFO drones. We've got plasmoids. We've got terrorist attacks. We've got fires. I mean, it's so many things all at once that we don't even have time to stop and question the mystery fog, let alone protest it. Okay? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, one weird thing would happen that year, and then we'd all have the time to really ponder it and say, no, you know what? That was way too weird, and like, they need to stop doing this to us, and then we would come together and question everything and protest. We do not have the time to do that. Take the time to do that. You're obviously here because you're taking the time to question everything, and I appreciate that, but at a certain point in time, we need to come together and say no, and at a global level, say these are crimes against humanity. There are a couple of states right now in America that are actually stopping chemtrails, like they're stopping spraying the skies. So things are happening, and us standing up and saying no, it does help, okay? Obviously, raising awareness helps too. So please continue to question everything. Know that this is their plan, but do not focus on it. It's great to have the information, but the deeper we go into the rabbit holes and the more that we get consumed by the agendas that are taking place, the smaller and smaller we feel, and we are actually feeding into their plan. What you really need to understand is, yeah, that is one side of the coin, but that's not the only side that's taking place. The real shit that's going on is that they are scared. They're scared, and they have a reason to be scared because they are running out of options. They're running out of resources. They're running out of individuals to play out their plot. We are waking up. We are questioning everything. So when everyone else is in chaos, when everyone else in the world is in fear, that is the best time to manifest. I want you to think about someone's aura or energy as being chaotic, right? I always think back to the kid in Peanuts. I forget what his name is, but he walks around with like a dust cloud, right? That's chaos energy. And when the majority of the planet is not focused on consciously creating their reality, you're not competing against anyone else to manifest and create your own reality. Period. Full stop. So yeah, the world is collapsing, but the world needs to collapse. It is time to take your power back and to start fully manifesting your own individual reality and the reality for the planet. We in this community and many other starseeds, light workers, conscious individuals around the world, we were able to completely divert and actually minimize Hurricane Milton altogether. I mean, that was supposed to be completely devastating for Florida, and it wasn't. So let's take a moment right now, close our eyes, and I want you to manifest and think about rain. This torrential downpour hitting California, more rain than they've ever had. I want you to imagine, to think about the winds dying down, the fires being put out. Just there, in that moment, on the spot, just like that. It's like a whole turn of events. Just like the hurricane about to make landfall, and then it doesn't. And then it's just a tropical storm. It's just like that. The fires raging, all of a sudden ending. The winds dying down and the rain hitting that area. We can come together to manifest what we need for this planet. And the second we all wake up to realize just how powerful we are, is the second that they no longer hold the cards. So what side do you want to be feeding into? It's time to wake up and utilize our consciousness for good. If you like this content, you're going to like my website a whole lot more, but be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like this video, and share it out to people who really need to know what's happening, but also why we shouldn't be feeding into it. I will see all of you in the absolute highest possible timeline. Bye for now.